This week I decided to make the inside screen actually useful. A week ago I was already thinking about releasing my budgeting app spend board, but honestly I didn't like the inside screen because it felt almost useless. This screen showed the difference between planned and actual spending only for the current period. But if you went, for example, to last month or even a year back, there was no comparison with the plan anymore, just how much I spent. And well, that doesn't really help. I spent 4,000. Okay, but how much did I actually plan to spend? 2? 5? So these numbers don't motivate you to do anything. It's not analytics, it's just dry statistics. And I want to see whether I was overspending my planned budget for all previous months, not only the current one. So I got to work. First of all, I had to figure out whether I can even get the data about what budget the user had in a given period. I opened the schema of the expense categories table, and it looked pretty simple. A foreign key to the accounts table, an icon, and a planned amount field that shows the budget right now, but not historically. And that's bad. But wait, this is exactly why I built event sourcing in the first place. Oh, by the way, what is even event sourcing? In simple words, it's an architectural approach that lets you log every action that the user takes. And usually all these logs are written into a separate table. In my case, it is called event logs. With event sourcing, you can pick any log from the entire history and recreate the state of the system at that specific moment. In other words, you can make a snapshot of your system. And also you can track which field was changed and when exactly the change happened. And this is a perfect scenario for figuring out what budget the user had in any period of time and compare it with the actual spending for that specific month. So I need to prepare an SQL query according to the following algorithm. First, aggregate all transactions for each period. Second, find the historically planned budget through the event logs table. And third, combine everything to see what was planned and what was actually spent. The result of the first part of the query looks something like this. A period number, in this case 0 is the current period, 1 is the previous, and so on. Then obviously the category and the amount spent for each period. The result of the second part of the query combined with the first part gives us this super informative table. Again, the period number, this time with the actual start and end dates, the expense category linked to the account, currency, and finally the planned budget for that period and the actual spending. And now this data can finally answer the question, wasn't I overspending my budget 2 months ago or 6 months ago, and so on. And I believe this is extremely important information, something that I would like to see myself and something I really want to show to my future users. But unfortunately, that's not all. I wrote this query in raw SQL just to test it on actual data in the PostgreSQL database. Now I have to bring all of this into my Swift UI code because all these analytics should be generated on the mobile app side. But I want to take a break and talk to you about a very serious topic. Coffee. I really love coffee. I buy fresh beans and make it with this simple coffee machine that I absolutely adore. I drink coffee 2 or 3 times a day, and every time I grind the beans with this hand grinder. I like it a lot, but sometimes I get tired of cleaning it or adjusting it and spending 2-3 minutes just grinding the beans. And out of curiosity, I decided to check electric grinders, and I was honestly shocked by the prices. They cost hundreds of dollars. Some go up to 500 or even 700. So I have a question for you. Maybe you can recommend a grinder that doesn't cost as much as a decent laptop but is still reliable and convenient. If you have any options, please share them in the comments, I would love to see that. And now I'm getting back to work. I'm using the GRDB library for working with SQLite database, and in GRDB syntax my query looks something like this. I created separate functions for each part of the query, so this big query is at least somewhat readable. And the nicest moment is filling the user interface with data from the database. I decided to split the screen into two logical parts: the chart with the overall numbers for the period inside the card and the list of categories below. And each of these components answered the question: did I overspend my planned budget for the selected periods? And I think it's pretty clean user interface that is not overloaded with much stuff. And honestly, I'm proud of this feature and I genuinely like how it turned out. And now I have this real feeling that I can release the app pretty soon. Also, I want to remind you that you can join the waitlist for the Spendboard release using the link in the description below. Oh, by the way, just look at this beautiful calendar component. It lets you pick custom periods as well as the pre-selected options I added above. I really love how clean and elegant it looks. So if you need a cool calendar component, it's called Horizon Calendar. Huge thanks to the developers, you made my life so much easier. So my next step will be adding one more inside screen for incomes where you will be able to check your earnings data for selected periods. And I think this will be the last feature before the beta release. Thank you guys for watching this video. If it was interesting or helpful for you, feel free to subscribe to my channel. See you in the next one.